Alright, we're actually going to do 2 lessons today. So we are going to do, do I call it section or lesson? I think I call it section. I've been writing it all year long.
No, you call it lesson.
Do I call it lesson? I think I say section. Yeah.
You do both.
So 12:4 and 12:5. Okay? What we're going to do, instead of talking about surface area, we're going to talk about the volume. Okay, so let's grab a picture here. First one we're going to do is we're just going to do Prism and Cones right now. So let's do a, where's a nice little prism? Let's do that one. Okay. And they even have a volume written in here like this. I'm not going to have you memorize these letters right here, but what I want you to do is this. Remember, the surface area, the lateral surface area was the perimeter of the base times the height. Volume is really, really close to that. So if you're going to do the volume of a prism, okay, or cylinder, it's basically the same general equation. Remember, lateral surface area was the perimeter of the base times the height. When you're going to do the volume, what you're going to do is you're going to find the area of the base, okay, times the height, and that's it. Okay, that's the volume of a prism or a cylinder. You take the area of the base and you multiply it by the height. Now, all these pictures could be different pictures. You could have a triangular base, right, a rectangular base, a pentagonal, a hexagon, a whatever. You know, you can have all these different shapes, but we've already talked about how to find the area of those bases before. So you just find the area of the base and multiply it by how tall it is. That's all you have to do. So in this one, notice that they wrote a formula out. I'm not asking you to memorize this formula right here. I'm asking you to memorize this, because this will help you find the volume of any prism or cylinder. Okay, so don't memorize just this, because this is only specific to a triangular base. Everybody understand that? Because let's see how they got this. Volume is the area of the base. Well, what kind of a figure is the base of this thing? I've said it like 3 times already. It's a what? It's a triangle. So how do I find the area of a triangle? It's 1/2 the base times the height, correct? Okay, times the height of this prism. How tall is this prism? If this is my base, okay, right here, how tall is the prism?
The L.
That's right. They call it L in this particular picture. All right, they could call it anything. They could have had a number here. All right, so that's the L. So don't memorize this though. Don't memorize, oh, the volume of a triangular prism is 1/2 BHL. Okay, that's too much to memorize, because you're going to have to memorize something different depending on what type of figure that you have. And that's too much to memorize. So what I do is I memorize this. It's just the area of the base, okay, and you look to see what kind of base you have. In this case, you have a triangle. If it was a rectangle, what would the volume be? So this would be a triangle. What if you had a rectangle? The volume would be what? What would the base of a rectangle be? It's just base times height, correct? Times, we'll call L for the how tall it is, okay, times L. Does that make sense? What if you wanted to find the area of a pentagon? Well, that you can't really even memorize that, can you? Okay, you got to find, well, you could, I guess. What's the area of a pentagon? Well, it's 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter, correct? So that's what you would have to do there, times what? Times L, how tall the thing is. Does that make sense? Let me just give you an example. Like, that's an octagon, that's good enough. Okay, look at this thing right here. What if I wanted to find the area of this? I'm sorry, the volume. What if I wanted to find the volume of this? Well, it all comes down to finding the area. The area is the hard part about this. So how do we find this? Well, we've got, remember this? And we go from here, we go to there, then we go to there. That's the apothem. Remember all that? Find the angle. Okay, all that stuff. Okay, some of you guys are laughing. Some of you guys are acting like I have no idea what you're talking about. We had this stuff, okay, earlier in this chapter, didn't we? Actually, it was the last chapter, wasn't it? I think it was the last chapter. We had a test on it and everything. Right, how to find the area of this thing. I'm not going to go through all that right now. You're going to have to go back and look to find the area of a regular polygon. Thank you. Things slip my mind when you get old like me. All right, so the area of a regular polygon. So you would find the area of this, and what's the L? The L is this length right there, how tall it is. All right, so you just find the area of this, multiply it by that, and bang, you're done. That's all there is to it. You could even have, I don't know if I copied an oblique one or not. Did I? Yeah, here's, well, it's a cylinder, but that's okay. We'll use that one. For volume, it doesn't matter if the thing is a right cylinder or right prism. It could slant as well. Okay, so how would I find the area of this? This is a cylinder this time. Well, it's still the area of the base. So I'm going to put, why did I put area right here? Let's try this again. What am I finding? Volume. I'm telling you the volume is equal to the area of the base, right, times what? The height. How tall it is. Now, look at this thing. Look where the height is. The height is not down one of the edges, is it? If this thing slants, the height has to be perpendicular to the base. Remember that? Okay, we talked a lot about this. See how it's all coming together? All that stuff that we learned earlier is all coming together. So the height is this distance right here. They'll probably give it to you, or you can find it depending on what numbers they give you and that kind of thing. I think for the most part they give you the height. So you just find the area of the base. So if I'm going to find the volume, how do I find the area of this base? It's a circle. So how do I find the area of a circle? It's pi r squared, right? Times what? Times the height. Do you have to sit there and memorize this exact thing? Oh, the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. Is that really what you're memorizing? You're not. You're only memorizing one thing and one thing only. Now you got to know some stuff before this, okay, how to find the area of these different figures. But to find the volume, all you got to do is memorize this one thing. The area of the base times the height. Can you remember that? Pretty easy. How do you find the lateral surface area? It's the what? Not the area of the base, it's what?
Perimeter.
It's the perimeter of the base, right? It's the perimeter of the base times the height. That's how you find the lateral surface area. You got to get those straight. Some people confuse those. So make sure you get it straight. In order to find the volume, you find the area of the base. Multiply by how tall it is, the height. Remember, height's always perpendicular to the base. And then that's how you find the volume. And you can do that with all kinds of different polygons. We good with that? All right. That was pretty easy. That was section 12, whatever I said, 4. Let's look at 12.5. I think, let's see if I grabbed one of these. Whoops. Yeah, we used this before. We could do a cone as well. Now what we're going to do is find the area of a pyramid. See this lovely picture we used before? I keep saying area, don't I? Yeah, it's volume. Thank you very much. Okay, we're finding the volume of a what? Pyramid this time. Now we're not going to go through any explanation just because of time's sake. If let's say this is a triangular pyramid. If I was going to put this into like a if I was going to fit this inside of a prism that has this exact same base. Alright, think about it. You got this base. What does a prism do? The sides go completely straight up, don't they? Excuse me. So if I was able to take this, fit it inside of a triangular prism with the same exact base and the same height and everything else, that pyramid takes up exactly 1/3 of that whole entire volume. So if I had the volume of a prism, this pyramid takes up exactly 1/3 of the volume of a prism. So the equation's really easy. If you can just remember that. If you can just remember, okay, a pyramid, it's not as much, is it? Because look, this sides would go up here, the sides would go up here. Do you follow me? You'd have this base on the top. If this was a prism, if this was a triangular prism, there's a lot more volume to a prism than there is a pyramid. In fact, there's twice as much volume. Actually, yeah, I would say, I lied. 3 times as much in the pyramid. So it's 1/3. The volume of a pyramid is 1/3. So watch what we do. Volume of a pyramid is actually 1/3 the volume of the prism. And what's the volume of the prism? It's the area of the what? Base. I know I did. I lied. Sorry, I made a mistake. Crucify me. Alright, so 1/3 the area of the base times the height. It's 1/3, not 1/2. I made a mistake. Can you believe it? Yes, I can, because I do it all the time. So it's 1/3 the area of the base times the height. That's the volume of a prism. Really, that's all you got to remember. So what do? You find the area of this triangle, multiply it by the height, divide it all by 3, and that's it. So the difference between a pyramid and a prism is you just take a pyramid and basically take your final answer, your final volume, and then you divide it by 3. So it's the area of the base times the height, and you just divide it by 3. That's all there is to that. It's pretty simple, isn't it? So far, we did 2 lessons today. I don't think either one of those was all that difficult. How do you find the volume of a prism? It's the area of the base times the height. How do you find the area of volume of a pyramid? What's also the area of the base times the height? What? Divided by 3, or 1/3, right? Make sense? It's pretty simple, isn't it? So same thing with a cone. Let's put this on here because it's the same. Yeah, we'll use this one. It's the only one I have, isn't it? So we're using some familiar pictures, but we're not doing volume or area like we did before. We are doing volume. So how do I find the volume of this cone? Well, it's 1/3 the area of the base. What's the area of this base right here? It's pi r squared times the height. Okay, right there, and there you go. That's it. Do you have to sit here and memorize 1/3 pi r squared h? Do you have to memorize that? No. You just memorize that the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Okay? Did I do a cylinder? Yeah, I did. I did the cylinder right here. Are we good on that? Okay. Yes, it is. Okay. I actually have a worksheet for you on this instead of stuff from the book. Okay, so let me give you a worksheet. It's a front and a back. They're both sections, and then that'll be it. Your last Monday homework.